we've already started beforehand already on some process mapping, but we never utilize it in a way where we saw you guys do it, right? Where you could literally, again, like map a whole company's brain into one platform. It makes it so much easier to view. And so I think just with that alone, you guys have been able to lay the foundations for how we will proceed moving forward when it comes to, not just SOP creations, demonstrations on how to do certain things, but literally how we can gain clarity on the whole operations side of our business, right?
So, Elias, good to have you on here. Please give everyone a quick intro about you and your company, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my name is Elias, and we pretty much help home care agencies with their client acquisition systems. So typically that falls within marketing and sales. And I'm here because typically the way I found these guys, OpsKings, was through YouTube, and I also refer from a friend. They've been super helpful with pretty much just kind of organizing our operations and really giving us some clarity on the next steps moving forward, especially when you're a bit smaller and your team is a bit smaller. It's very hard, especially being the central piece, to go ahead and know or lean on somebody to go ahead and actually know what steps to go ahead and move forward on. So
No, that's great.
yeah, quick
Love
intro.
the intro. I have a key question: is whose
Yeah.
YouTube channel did you go to first? Was it mine or Ryan's?
Yeah. So first, when I was first referred over to was Ryan's, but then as I
Ah,
started digging more into Airtable, I did see Tony's as well.
yeah.
So I
But
checked his
it was my
description.
video who actually like prompted you.
Well, no, actually, I think your video was on the website. Yeah, I was to go on the
Oh, there we
website, but
go.
then I was like, oh, he works with Ryan. That's cool as hell. So yeah, it kind of
There we
just
go.
kind of cycled itself.
Little friendly competition here. Who can explain things
Friendly.
the best? Yeah.
Friendly competition. No, love it. I just quick question. So you obviously hired us to help you out with the company brain, just getting
Yeah.
a more sense of basically doing an audit of your processes and then presenting it with action plans. What made you reach out? Like, what was the problems that you guys were facing? How were the symptoms showing that you guys thought that you needed some help, and you decided to book in a call with us and engage with us?
Yeah, so the symptoms for us, and the main reason we reached out is because we're in a very unique position where, in our market, there's not a lot of competition in what we do, just because less of our clients are lean toward the solution that we offer. And so client acquisition was the first thing we looked to solve when we set out to go ahead and start this business. And, especially me, that was my number one priority. So
Mhm.
as I've already kind of refined it and it's there, it can run on itself without me having to provide much input. Our next issue is going to be client fulfillment, right? And pretty much the operations behind that. So that's when we were like, okay, we definitely want to make sure our foundations are right, because I feel like anything we build ourselves on, depending on how we move forward later on, it might come to bite us in the ass. So I just really wanted to make sure me and my team were going to be in a position to be able to move forward without having to slow down, especially operationally and when it comes to client success. So I was doing some research as well as my brother, which is my business partner. And that's pretty much when I was reminded, and I was like, hey, I remember, kind of a couple months back, I had seen Ryan, some of the automations he built out. And so I just started diving a bit deeper when it came to Airtable, because before we were using Notion, but we had switched over to Airtable. And from there, I mean, pretty much just dove into the whole ecosystem of Airtable, realized how complex and how deep it could go. And I had taken some jabs at trying to go ahead and build things myself, which I did. And for the moment, it did all right. But we were honestly looking for something a lot more robust in order to keep our team a bit smaller, more profitable, and our operations even cleaner. And that's when I decided with, alongside with Elijah, we're like, hey, we haven't found anybody who's kind of speaking the same language as me, which was Ryan when it came to the whole math. I don't know if you guys know, I have a background in mechanical engineering. So
There you go.
Oh, I actually didn't know
yeah,
that.
so
No.
it clicked, and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and talk to these guys. These guys sound like they know what they're talking about.
No, I love that. I love that. So you obviously then went through the process with Shay, who basically took you through the entire kind of our operations audit, which is doing the company brain. Then we met internally, kind of review that, and came up with some ideas to improve. How did you find that entire process in terms of? Have you ever done any sort of process mapping yourself? How did you take Shay's take on just trying to make sense of your business? Because oftentimes we work with businesses that are, some of them pretty familiar, like recruiting or, logistics, that are kind of pretty typical businesses. Everyone's kind of understands how they naturally work. But sometimes we work with companies that are a bit more unique, right? So you mentioned your business model is not something a lot of people do, in the sense that you don't have a lot of competition. So how was that process of having our team trying to understand how your business process works, and then be able to give you any kind of pointers on where to look at and what to even begin with?
Yeah, so, what I will say is the company brain, you guys put it in a way, that was a lot easier to digest, and, a lot of it was in my head, I gotta be honest, a lot of it was in my head. We had already
And
started
that's
to
why we
do some
call it
tech.
the company brain. Like,
Yeah.
the point of it is just to pull it out of your head and put it on paper.
Yeah, yeah, no, of course, and we've already started, beforehand, already on some process mapping, but we never utilize it in a way, where we saw you guys do it, right? Where you could literally, again, like, map a whole company's brain into one platform. It makes it so much easier to view. And so, I think just with that alone, you guys have been able to lay the foundations for how we will proceed moving forward when it comes to, not just SOP creations, demonstrations on how to do certain things, but literally how we can gain clarity on the whole operations side of our business, right? I mean, hell, I've even used it, in some personal matters, like, when it comes to when it comes to like relationships, like, hey, babe, so this is gonna be your role. This is what you're gonna do, and I've even done that
I
myself.
thought it was like a funnel. So the first thing we do is we get 10 million leads on Tinder, and then we qualify them with a form, and then they all submit a photo, and then we eventually end up with. Okay, so this is honestly the first person to mention that, but this is a great
I
use case.
Great use case.
Yeah, we'll have like a dashboard for your girlfriend where like showcases she's responsible for these parts of the process.
exactly,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
that's good. That's good.
No, yeah, no, I'm
New,
telling you,
this is a new part of our offer, our
yeah, yeah. I gotta say,
relationship optimization.
yeah, for sure, because she kicks my ass sometimes when it comes to communication. So I need my way,
Yeah.
my own
No,
way
we'll
to
do
kind
it
of map it out.
it's cool. Add her on Slack. We'll make a Slack bot for her so that it's like we're having this for dinner, approve or deny. Like, hey,
Yes.
this task is like 14 minutes overdue. So it's like Slack,
Yeah, no.
like pings on. Yeah, it's just not. We'll solve this. This is
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'll need
Yeah.
something like that for sure.
No, I love it. So you obviously went through that process. Now you have a kind of a better understanding of how the current process works. You obviously gotten some pointers of kind of what directions to go, where the improvement opportunities. How do you feel like your next steps from here are? What are you focused on? Do you have better clarity of kind of what the action steps for you are, on what the possibilities are, which directions you should go into? How's your kind of headspace right now in terms of now post kind of going through this process? Where's your brain? What are you thinking your next moves are?
Yeah, so my next moves are, kind of reimagining, our current process right now. First, eliminating exactly what we don't need that isn't driving client results and isn't going to move the business forward. It's just there to kind of be pretty. I want to remove all that stuff, just pretty much remove any junk. And then from there, I want to map out exactly, what we're supposed to be doing kind of moving forward, and who is going to be responsible for it. Because I want to be able to gain more leverage as a business owner. And so, seeing like, hey, okay, I want to eventually delegate this off to somebody. How can I go ahead and prepare, train somebody, and pretty much, remap that structure of, said department, of said person's role. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of, a new way to go ahead and think about it, and a new way to go ahead and approach, building the business is pretty much where my headspace is at now.
Love it. Love it. And I'm going to ask another question, and then I'm going to let Ryan probably guess even more. But how is the entire experience? Obviously, you work with one of our business analysts, Shay. How was that experience? Me and Ryan were kind of involved in the sense of the strategy side internally, but just the entire process of going through the company brain and having another person kind of interview and pull information out of you. How was that process for you?
So Shay was actually really, really great. I gotta say, I have some of the meetings recorded of what we talked about. I had to, just because Shay dropped so many insights and so many things that we can do directly today. But there were a ton, and it's honestly very hard to even do that within a week. I'm probably gonna give myself a month's time. Digest everything, and pretty much expand on that even further. Right? He was super helpful with pretty much mapping out that whole process and making things so clear, and even giving us even more golden nuggets to get more value out of exactly the work you did.
I love it. I love it. Ryan, anything you
Yeah,
want to add?
I mean, as always, you're doing all the real work here while I just come up with all just the presence and the
Cool
good looks.
analogies.
The cool analogies and the endless jokes about optimizing girlfriends.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you did really well, Tony. I was wondering if there's any other questions or things you wanted to say that you think people might benefit from. Like, you have the benefit of knowing what it's like to work with us and knowing what the company brain process is like. So if there's any words of wisdom or thoughts you would have for people, anything else you wanted to say before we wrap?
Yeah. So what I would say to those people who are pretty much watching this video, considering working with OpsKings, is I would ask yourself, what exactly is it that you're ultimately looking to build on when it comes to the business? Okay. Um, when it came to the way I thought about my business, at least before, working with OpsKings, a little different than I do now. And the clarity I have now is pretty much, um, how can you work in a way that is efficient and as fun as possible? Okay. And OpsKings has allowed me to kind of reimagine that in a new way that I think will definitely change the course of my business, my personal life, etc. So I would say, if you're willing to at least take that shot, at least booking a call with them to at least have them demonstrate, that ability, I recommend you go ahead and do that for sure. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Love it. These are very, very thoughtful and kind words, Elias. I
Yeah, of course, man.
appreciate you taking the time and hopping on this quick interview with us. And we're looking forward to parts 2 and parts 3 and parts 4 of this interview, because I'm sure we're gonna get it. But thanks for taking the time, and that's been the interview.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you guys for having me.